What's up? Muggen Mylle, back at it again. If you're new here, hi, I'm a trans guy and I had top surgery on the 25th of April last year. You might sit here thinking, if you're a guy, why do you sound like a girl? And first of all, that's rude. I'm actually very sensitive about that. We just met and you immediately point out my biggest insecurity. Like, yeah, I'm sure you're all that, huh? But if you really have to know, it's because I haven't gone on tea yet. It's not that I don't want to, I very much do. You have my informed consent, doctor. I'm a soon-to-be 23-year-old man. I've wanted this since I first grasped the concept of gender. Just give me the man juice, thank you. It's not enough that I, the person in question, tell you directly this is what I want to do with my body, or I'll show you what irreversible damage really is. But apparently I need another person to talk to me and confirm what my family, closest friend and I have known all along. That I desperately need tea. And I know what you're going to say. We've been here before and I appreciate your willingness to help. It's very cute. Has anyone ever told you that? You're being really adorable right now. Anyway, so free next weekend.
Good night, everybody.
But no, I can't get HRT at my nearest Planned Parenthood. We don't have informed consent here. Testosterone is considered a doping substance and yeah, I'm not about that hashtag jail life. I've currently got a promising YouTube career ahead of me. Please like, subscribe, turn on all notifications. This is literally the only reason I even get out of bed in the morning. Yeah, do you really want to be the reason a grown 23-year-old trans man is crying like a little baby? Exactly, I didn't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Anyways, you need HRT prescribed. And to get it prescribed, you need a gender dysphoria diagnosis. Which I personally am not a fan of. I think people should be able to do whatever the f they want with their bodies as long as they're in a sound state of mind. Still, I'm like 99.9% certain I meet the criteria anyways, so I'm not too worried about that. I just, you know, for the sake of others, I'm a humble man. Right now, my number one concern is getting through this goddamn waiting list without turning myself into another statistic, if you know what I mean. The estimated waiting time was about 2 years, and that was 3 years ago. I was told that 3 years ago. By now, I'm incredibly desperate, as you can probably imagine, and I would throw money at just about anyone who claimed they could turn me into a man without going bald. That's to say, I'm not willing to overdose on tea. Unfortunately, that's not an option, as we don't have any private gender clinics. I couldn't even pay for it if I wanted to. Bet you damn socialists feel real stupid now. I'm kidding, I love socialism. Anyways, we all just have to suffer. Love that for us. Not only are we being the topic of debate all around the world, but we also have to suffer with our stupid bodies. And yeah, I know you could technically get it on the down low. I know many of you trans femmes do just that. It's okay, I'm not a cop. I won't snitch on you. I probably would have taken that route if gender affirming care was banned altogether, but it's not. It's just very, very slow and a pain in the ass. But in the long run, it's gonna be much cheaper for me because of public health care, so yay, thank you socialism. As I said in the beginning, I actually have had top surgery already, and that might not make a lot of sense to you as I haven't been to a gender clinic, nor gone on tea yet, and I can explain this.
What?
I had humongous
Big boobs? What?
Okay, that probably doesn't explain much. Let me try again. My massive resulted in debilitating dysphoria, and it was very difficult for me to function when I had like D cups.
Child. Anyway, so
Probably bigger. I don't really know the size, since I would have much rather eaten my own shoes than actually measure my own boobs. I prefer to be blissfully unaware of my own problems. I'll tell you this much though, under usual circumstances, you would be worried if you lost 4.4 pounds in under 2 hours. Get it? I'm saying that my
boobs
weighed 4.4 pounds. I lost 4.4 pounds during surgery. I'm just saying, you big titty
female dog.
don't impress me, because I probably had bigger than you.
Triggered.
Here's how it happened though. After my first year of waiting in line to a gender clinic, it really dawned on me that, first of all, I don't even know when I'm gonna hear from them, and secondly, even after that, there's no saying how much longer I'll have to wait before we even start speaking of top surgery, if that happens, and whether I'll survive that long. A lot of you guys watching are probably trans yourself, so it feels really weird harping on how miserable I was, because you probably know that feeling all too well. But I'm gonna do it anyways. For all of you cis people in the back, sit your ass down. The two blobs stuck to my chest were alien to me. Imagine having massive leeches stuck to your body, making your skin crawl, and the panic you would feel, desperate to just get those blood-sucking parasites the f*** off you right now. On my worst of days, I found that my mind was racing, trying to find a quick way out of this nightmare. In one of the scenarios I had come up with, I would slash open my chest so deep that they would have no choice but to remove the mutilated tissue during an emergency surgery to save my life. Massive scars would be a small price to pay, and God, was I willing to pay it. But unfortunately, or rather fortunately, I'm not sure whether it was even physically possible to do that much damage without bleeding out. If anything, I would probably be worse off if I tried to pull a stunt like that. Although my second plan of escape wasn't nearly as brutal, it was the most permanent of the two. And I'll leave that up to your imagination. I couldn't wait for as long as I was expected to, so I took matters into my own hands to save my own life. I started looking into different private plastic surgery clinics that performed the double mastectomies. To my dismay, but not surprise, I found that most clinics still required a gender dysphoria diagnosis to perform surgery. A lot of them made it very clear on their website. Now, if you ask me, I think that's bull. Cause I wouldn't be looking into getting it privately if I had a diagnosis in the first place. Yet, I found that one of the clinics I took a liking to didn't explicitly state they required a gender dysphoria diagnosis. I tried to keep my hopes down, since their website still stated, undergoing gender-affirming surgery is a big step, and therefore it is important to have undergone the investigation required even in public care. But I figured it couldn't hurt to contact them and explain my situation. To my pleasant surprise, they were very understanding. Now, I don't want any transphobes to use my experience to prove that they're performing gender-affirming surgery on just anyone. No questions asked. Cause that most certainly wasn't the case. Even though they understood just how difficult it is to get a diagnosis, they still needed a letter of approval from a therapist I had talked to for at least a year about my gender dysphoria. Fortunately for me, I had already been doing just that, and my therapist could confirm that I'm in a sound state of mind to make this decision, and I've been consistent and sure of my identity as a man. I believe it was back in December of 2021 that I finally got a top surgery consultation scheduled for the 1st of April. My surgeon being 𝒂𝒶𝒏𝒕 at Reformkliniken in Malmö. If you're looking to get top surgery in Sweden, I strongly recommend him. Honestly, I think it must have been fate, because if I could choose any surgeon in the world, I still think I would have gone with him. Not that I've looked into every surgeon in the world, but you know what I mean. He's a strong contender, like it's really good. It was by no means cheap, about $4,100 US. I'm not sure whether this would have even been possible if it wasn't for my YouTube channel and you guys. Some of you were generous enough to donate, and every single time one of you did, I bawled my eyes out. Like, I remember getting a $100 donation one time and I was crying for at least an hour. Together with my ad revenue, it covered my surgery. You guys quite literally saved my life, and I don't know if I can ever thank you enough. Like, oh my god, I'm so thankful. You have no idea. Thank you for sticking by my side throughout this journey. I'm so happy I decided to start up this channel. My surgery was scheduled for 25th of April, and I should probably point out right now that my circumstances weren't exactly optimal. The reason people usually go on T for a while before getting top surgery is because the tissue under your skin changes when you take testosterone. If you choose to do it the order I did, the placement of the scars and the nipples aren't always gonna be completely perfect on your new build once you take T. And personally, that's not something that's going to bother me too much, but that's just me. Please keep that in mind. This video is based on my experience, and we're all different. Knowledge! Even though I have yet to find out whether my nipples are gonna be super wonky once I've injected myself with the man juice. God, that sounds awful out of context, actually. Anyhow, I actually did experience some complications I've never heard anyone talk about before, and maybe I'm just stupid, but I just genuinely didn't know. About 1 or 2 weeks after the surgery, while changing padding, I noticed these stripes on my chest, and I suspected that it was stretch marks. Just a fun fact about me, I've never had stretch marks before, at least as far as I know, and that's why I wasn't really sure what it was. I've only heard of it in the context of gaining weight or going through puberty, you know. Triggered. When I was googling, I could only find people saying that it usually happens if you're moving too much in the beginning, which makes sense, like they're stretch marks and you'd be stretching your skin too much. However, I was in bed during my recovery and I didn't actually move at all, so things just didn't add up, and when shit don't add up, I become obsessed. I need an answer. Not that it would change anything, but I just want an explanation, you know? That's just a quirk of mine. Crazy ass bitch. Some people speculated that it could have been the swelling, though I don't even remember my chest being that swollen to begin with. That's when I was talking to my tattoo artist about it, and she pulled a switcheroo, a little Sherlock Holmes on me, and suggested that I might have always had the stretch marks, but they only really became visible once my breast tissue was removed. Mind freak. When she first told me that, I was like, oh my god, you're a genius. But now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm realizing I have no idea what I'm actually talking about. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. You're welcome to theorize about my stripy tiger tits in the comments. Though you can barely even see them now 1 year later. That's about the only downside to this surgery, and honestly, that's nothing compared to the benefits. Now, I can't hesitate this enough. This is only my experience and we're all different. We all react differently. If you're currently looking into getting top surgery, please Try and keep your expectations low and be realistic. I know it's difficult because this is a really big and exciting step, but it's really for your own sake to avoid disappointment. I've heard many people talk about the initial shock of seeing the huge scar on their chest, and some even confuse this for regret. Keep in mind that it's gonna take some time before you can actually get an idea of what the finished results are gonna look like, since you got a lot of healing to do. It's also not uncommon to experience post-operative depression. Just give it some time, let that monkey part of your brain calm down, and let your depression settle before you reassess everything. That being said, personally, my recovery was extremely smooth. I prepared for the worst and was pleasantly surprised when I never had that dip of depression, at least not in relation to the surgery. Never once have I questioned whether I made the right choice. In fact, my only regret is that I didn't transition sooner, because I wanted to do it since I was like, I don't know, 12. It's true that trans healthcare is a magic and it's not gonna solve all your problems. You're probably gonna suffer from depression even afterwards. Everyone has bad days, even those who aren't constantly in distress by existing in their current body. But I'll tell you this, my bad days now, after the surgery, are nothing in comparison. I have so much more patience now that my anxiety levels aren't constantly just at the brink of overflowing. Maybe the most unexpected improvement had to do with my ED-related behavior. As some of you probably already know, I developed around the time I hit puberty, which I've speculated is related to my gender dysphoria. It's not uncommon for trans people especially to develop EDs, not only as a coping mechanism, but also as a way to erase certain secondary sex characteristics, such as boobs and menstruation. Usually I tell people I've been recovered for years, which isn't exactly a lie. I'm no longer dangerously underweight, and most people around me wouldn't be able to tell that I'm struggling. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of EDs aren't actually visible. You don't have to be super thin to be suffering with an ED. You can be at a healthy weight and still be doing a lot of damage to your body. But most importantly, ED has to do with your thought pattern. What I used to do to my body was nothing in comparison to what was going on in my head. And that's just why someone can be forced to go to rehab and be made to gain weight, but it's not gonna matter if they don't want to recover. After all these years, I've learned to sort of nurture my body, but it would be a lie to say that I wasn't struggling. In fact, I wasn't even sure whether it was possible for me to improve more. You've probably heard people say that you're never gonna completely recover from an ED, you just learn to manage it, which I truly believe is the case for most people, me included. I was obsessed with getting enough exercise and what I ate to an unhealthy degree, which greatly limited my social life. I had sort of accepted that as the aftermath of an intense ED and assumed these thought patterns were so ingrained that they're just gonna stick with me forever. Maybe that's cynical of me, but that's just where I was at. I was like, this is what peak performance looks like. Meanwhile, my life was crashing and burning all around me. Only after a couple of months after top surgery did it really dawn on me. I didn't experience nearly as much food anxiety as I did before. In fact, it barely crossed my mind anymore. Which is funny because I don't think it's noticeable to anyone but myself. I'm still at a very similar weight, just down 4.4 pounds. But the improvement has been so fucking mind-blowing and life-altering. Life becomes a lot more manageable when your mind isn't constantly preoccupied with planning your next meal or fitting a workout pass into your already busy schedule. Like, are you telling me that most people haven't been living life on hardcore? I still suffer from certain symptoms, but I don't know, it's no longer controlling my life. And to think that I'm only halfway through my transition. Maybe after tea I won't have to think twice before I open my mouth in public. That would be awesome. It's been reassuring though. I've been really scared to transition for such a long time, even though I really wanted to. But I'm glad I took that plunge, because it's been really rewarding. It feels like I'm finally in control of my life. It feels like I'm finally ready to live my life. Anyways, that's about all I had to share. I mean, I could go on for days, but I doubt you have all the time to sit down and listen to all of that. If you have any questions that I didn't really give the answer to in this video, feel free to ask them below. Or if you're someone that has medically transitioned, or maybe knows someone who has medically transitioned, you're free to share your experience, whether it's going on HRT or gender-affirming surgery, down in the comments. You might think it's whatever, no one's going to care, but it's a really great resource for those looking to transition. I remember reading comments and such when I was researching. Also, feel free to recommend a topic you want me to cover, and while you're down there, remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. You'll find all my social media in the description, and as always, if you're interested in having a headshot drawn by the one and only Muggen Mylle, you'll find my commission sheet in my pinned tweet. It's a great way to support me. Just shoot me a DM if you're interested. I don't bite, I promise. Maybe I'll nibble a little bit, but I'm nice, I swear, I'm tame. Anyways, have a good day, morning, evening, or night, whatever time you're watching this video. Take care, and see you in my next video. Bye!